Hey guys, Taki here. In this video I'm gonna go over my league starter for the upcoming Path of Exile 2 League Rise of the Abyssal. And it's gonna be an Amazon Ice Strike build, although you could play pretty much any quarterstaff skill you like with some tweaks. The reason I'm going with Amazon is because I think this is gonna be the real budget option for the quarterstaff playstyle. A lot of people think that's gonna be hollow palm technique, since you don't need a weapon. But the baseline unarmed stats may not be that great, and I expect it's gonna be pretty gear dependent in the end. And you will be competing with pretty much everybody for evasion and energy shield gear, speaking of course in a trade league environment. While as an Amazon with the penetrate ascendancy, you're using very niche high accuracy weapons that even other quarterstaff users don't really want. So I expect most people will be playing either Deadeye, Invoker or Shaula Monk for this archetype. So as an Amazon, you're probably gonna be able to get a very good weapon pretty cheap, which is perfect for a league start, of course. You're also getting the critical strike as the Ascendancy before penetrate, and that has been nerfed from 25% to 15% of excess hit chance as crit. But keep in mind your baseline accuracy will be higher, as accuracy from levels has been doubled from 3 to 6, and I think dexterity gives 1 more as well. And for the remaining Ascendancy nodes, you still have great options as an Amazon. You get open weakness, it's essentially 20% more damage versus rares and bosses. And for the last one you can pick Mystic Harvest, which lets you leech life based off elemental damage, which you can combine with the Essentia Sanguis gloves, and you get really good ES recovery for a hybrid life and ES build. With Eternal Youth being nerfed, that's gonna be a really good option. Although I would say the last Ascendancy is pretty flexible. You could use as Merry Brew with Savron's Satchel as well, also for a good ES recovery. Stalking Panther could be really good with a pure ES armor. Body armor, maybe even Vault's Protector if you wanted to try like a Flicker Strike or Falling Thunder setup. I guess there's also a chance that Stalking Panther works directly with Hollow Palm. In that case, Amazon is gonna be sick for Hollow Palm, but I doubt that's how it's gonna work based on the wording. I think it literally only cares about the number on your on the item, on your helm, gloves, and boots, right? Which that is at least synergistic with Stalking Panther, even if it doesn't benefit directly to Hollow Palm. If you wanted to try Hollow Palm on Amazon, I think there's something there that you could try with Stalking Panther. Alright, let's take a look at the PoB, and I'll talk about some of the leveling for this build. Now, I'm not sure how worth it is to actually go into details about the tree and the gems. I suppose a little bit about the gear, but the tree and the gems are changing so much. I might just be like misleading you and confusing people by going into too much detail here, because it's gonna change so much. I think they're adding like, I don't remember, like 50% more nodes to the tree. So the tree is gonna look completely different when you log in on launch day for 0.3. And the gems, kind of same thing. They're all gonna have different names and probably different functionality as well. But just to briefly go over like the endgame setup first, the tree is looking something like this, to give you an idea of how the tree is gonna look later, but it's gonna be completely different. Taking quarterstaff nodes, crit nodes, not too many accuracy nodes because we're not accuracy stacking that hard. But yeah. Not leaning too much into the power charges, but I am taking this max 1. And then of course the only keystone we're using is Resonance to gain power charges instead of frenzy charges. And we are using Combat Frenzy for that, so when we freeze we gain a frenzy charge that is turned into a power charge. But yeah, pretty basic stuff. Evasion, energy shield, going into the monk starting area. So, but keep in mind this is the end game tree. I do have setups from level 1 all the way through starting maps and the late game, but again, they're probably all going to be worthless come launch. But it's going to give you an idea of how the skeleton of the tree is going to look. This duel is pretty good. I don't think they're changing this area too much, so you get 1 rage on melee hit, and it hits these 5 nodes, which is really good, which means you get 5 rage on melee hit. And for the earlier versions, you can just use these cheaper jewels, just gain 1 rage on melee hit, and pretty much in at least 2 of the jewel slots. In one, you do want maximum mana on kill, recover mana on kill. Yeah, the way we are sustaining mana is through the jewel and also on single target. For Tempest Spell, we have Soul Thief. But yeah, again, not gonna talk too much about the tree. It's just gonna be completely different on launch, and I don't think we will have the new tree until, at least not in PoB, probably until a day or so after launch. But I don't think we will even know what the tree looks like until a few hours before launch, when they data mine it, I guess. For the Ascendancy order, I recommend taking Predatory Instinct first. It's really good during campaign. And then second, you're gonna take Critical Strike. Possibly, if you don't mind respecking a lot, you could take Esmeri Brew. It's also pretty nice during campaign bosses. But if you wanna limit the respecking a little bit, Predatory Instinct first, second, Critical Strike. And then pretty much when you finish the campaign and you get your first good accuracy quarterstaff, I would spec out of Predatory Instinct and take Penetrate. That's gonna be more damage and better. Then for your third, you can either retake Predatory Instinct, or if you already have like Essentia Sanguis gloves, maybe it's better to take just Mystic Harvest right away. So yeah, the third and fourth slot are a little bit interchangeable, but I would say probably leaning towards taking Predatory Instinct third most of the time. That's gonna help you a lot more in the trial for your fourth Ascendancy anyway. More damage against the Sarok is probably pretty nice. You don't really need recovery in there anyway. For the Trial of Chaos, maybe a little bit different, but yeah. Anyway. Gem setups looking something like this. Again, you're probably going to use completely different supports, and they're probably going to have different names, even the ones that have the same functionalities. So whatever, I guess. Yeah, using Ice Bite here is nice to have really good uptime on it. Otherwise, it's just basically more damage stuff. Also, you will be able to use the same support twice, or how many times you like, in this patch, they're removing the limitation of that. So yeah. For Tempest Spell, again, Soul Thief is good for Leech. Overabundance lets you have 2. Again, they could have completely different names in the next patch. Charge Staff, this is the main reason you want power charges, is to get the buff here. That gives you flat added lightning, and it also does a little bit damage, sending out a little shockwave, and you can shock with that shockwave, I guess, using conduction. And then if you have lightning exposure, you're gonna get lightning exposure. Who knows if this gem will still exist, but if it does, all exposures are being combined into one, so you're gonna get cold exposure as well from this, presumably. But it's just gonna be called exposure, maybe. Culling Strike here is pretty good as well. Persistence for more skill effect duration. Herald of Ice is the only herald I'm using in this setup. If you get spirit from either your body armor or your neck or amulet, you could use Herald of Thunder as well, but I think Herald of Ice clears decently well on its own. You could also go for Ghost Dance if you get additional spirit for more ES. Not regeneration. You get ES back when you're hit with Ghost Dance based on your evasion. So it's a good defensive option. Then have Wind Dancer for more evasion, and you can maim and blind on it as well. I figured when they remove the limit, you can put Innervate here. I have Innervate on Herald of Ice otherwise. Hand of Shayola to apply a curse, and Sniper's Mark. Sniper's Mark gives you charges during bossing, pretty much. That's the main reason we have it. And Conductivity is also being removed and replaced with Elemental Weakness that applies all elemental types in the same curse. So I think it's probably decent. Shattering Palm. I think Shattering Palm with Ancestral Call, so if you use it once every 6 seconds-ish, it's pretty good for clear. It's kind of just a skill. I just put it on left click. I'm mostly clear with Ice Strike, but every now and then pressing Shattering Palm is kind of fun, and I think it's pretty good clear as well. You could also use Stormwave here. Stormwave is what I use a lot in leveling. When I'm playing WASD, I like to have it on my left click and Ice Strike on my right click and kind of kite with it, because there are some zones where you're just getting beat up and you want to have something to attack with from a range, and Stormwave is pretty good for that. And yeah, that's in the leveling setup, but I'll just go over the items a little bit first. So for the quarterstaff, again, you want something like this with high accuracy. You're going to use accuracy runes in it, and then like you don't need any flat damage. Flat damage is good if you can get it. Like, yeah, it's really good, but then you're looking at a pretty good quarterstaff for other players as well. So these are all stats. Well, elemental damage with attacks and accuracy are not being weighed very heavily by other quarterstaff players. So you're gonna be able to get a cheap quarterstaff that looks something like this. That is very good for us, but pretty bad for others. Crit chance and attack speed is good as well. Plus level 2 all melee skills is very good, and critical damage bonus as well. But yeah, I think I'm using like 4 stats for all of these gear, so it's not too crazy gear, just yeah, decent, like mid-game gear, I guess. The only unique you're going to be using is Essentia Sanguis, which again makes your life leech into energy leech. If you don't have this, you could use Savron's Satchel and combine with the Esmeri Brew instead. I think that's probably a good option compared to Mystic Harvest with Essentia Sanguis as well. Both pretty good. But I prefer this option. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the gear. One of these jewels, like I said, for radius to get 5 rage on it, and then maximum mana on kill. For the last one, I don't know if I'm gonna use maybe something that lets you pick like something around a keystone. I don't remember what they called. Controlled metamorphosis in a ring, kind of like Thread of Hope or something. Not sure. Again, not planning too much for the end game, because I just know everything is gonna be completely different. Stun Charm is good, Freeze Charm, and Bleed Charm. If you want to use Ambrosia, you want a mana flask with increased charges. Right now I don't have Ambrosia in the setup, but maybe it's something you could like look into. Some instant recovery on the life flask. You're not using your life flask too much, but since you have a lot of ES, or pretty much 50-50. But yeah, you want an instant life flask. That's pretty much all the gear. Again, okay. So let's go over the leveling. Okay, so for leveling, if you check here, I'm gonna have some progressive trees, and they're probably not gonna be optimal even for the leveling stuff because of all the changes, but it's at least something to follow. I'm playing bows here early on, and then switching to Ice Strike somewhere around in the start of Act 2. And yeah, just progressing up to Resonance. Looking at the skills here, yeah. So starting as a Huntress, you're gonna start with Spear, and for me, I prefer leveling with bows in Act 1 over spears. So just right after killing the Miller, I just buy a white bow and a quiver, and I use my gem to create to make a lightning arrow. And then in the first zone, there's a guaranteed skill gem from a little camp, so that's where you can get lightning rod, and then you can go do the devourer and get your first support, which is lightning infusion or scatter shot for lightning rod. But yeah, multiple projectiles, I think it's gonna called in the next patch. That's good for lightning rod, and more lightning damage and attack speed for lightning arrow is pretty good. Herald of Thunder, concentrated effect. You can use concentrated effect and switch it into the lightning rod for single target on bosses, and that's gonna get you through Act 1 pretty easily. In Act 2, after the hyena boss, is when I switch to Ice Strike. Concentrated effect, martial tempo. If at this point you can be pretty low on supports, so if you're using the base type quarterstaff that has pure lightning damage, I think that's you can buy that one right away in Act 2. You can just use lightning infusion and martial tempo on the Ice Strike. Just beware throughout the leveling about using the infusions, or I think even they're being renamed, but the ones like this that are you gain damage as extra lightning and deal less cold and fire. Beware of what flat damage types you have on your quarterstaff and stuff like that. So if you're using a fist quarterstaff and you're converting to cold with Ice Strike, using lightning infusion is pretty bad, but it's fine if you're using the base type that only has lightning damage. Anyway, when you switch to quarterstaff, you want to have a level 5 gem for Ice Strike and like a level 3 for Tempest Bell. You put Rage and Overabundance here. Herald of Thunder, Voltaic Mark is like decent for clear. Glacial Cascade is kind of useful to attack from a distance, but for that you're mostly going to be using Stormwave. But you can use Glacial Cascade a little bit earlier, I think. But then you just switch that to Stormwave. Yeah. Ice Strike is your main single target, putting down Tempest Bells on bosses and stuff, like rares. Stormwave, just to keep a distance in like the Vol zone in Act 3, you can get swarmed pretty easily. So I like just kind of strafing and backtracking and kiting with Stormwave in some areas like that. And then, yeah, in Act 3 you're picking up Combat Frenzy as your second Spirit Gem. So you can start using Shard Staff. At this point, yeah, you want to be here and take Resonance, like I mentioned, and Sniper's Mark as well for single target charge generation. I guess in Act 4, or maybe during the interludes, is when you're going to get your last Spirit thing that in the current game we get it in Act 3 Cruel, right? And for that one you want to use Wind Dancer, and you can also then you get 40 spirit from that, so you can start using precision then as well. But yeah, you can look at this in your own time as well, and go over things at your own pace. I think that's all that I can say for now. Yeah, everything's gonna be completely different. Hopefully this is somewhat useful anyways, and yeah, best of luck, and subscribe if you want to see more updates, and good luck and have fun in the new league.